G'day guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another episode of Space Engineers. So in today's episode, what I thought I would show you is my Mars underground bunker. So what I'm going to do is go into my character's view here and we'll just have a bit of a look out the front. So as you can see, this is the entrance to my Mars bunker. I've got a little driveway here for the rover that I created, and yeah, so this has basically been a survival world that I've been building for probably about 2 or 3 months. Yeah, so everything that's built in this world has been built in survival mode, so none of it's been in creative, it's all just been in survival. So you guys have seen the Nomad before, so we won't look over that too much, but what I will do is I'll show you how I actually connect that up to this base. So basically under here we have a connector that comes from the floor, goes up to the rover, and then connects up to the rover. Now, one of the other things I noticed when I was building this base was that when this rover was fully loaded, the wheels would actually start to clip through the floor. So what I've gone ahead and done is I've put blast door blocks down where the wheels go. I haven't 110% confirmed this, but I'm pretty sure that the regular light armor blocks, the only reason that the wheels can go through them is because they are the blocks can deform. So I think any block that cannot deform should be fine for wheels to go over, and they won't actually sink through the floor. And thus far I think I've had some pretty good success with this. I haven't actually had the rover want to sink through the floor again. So yeah, anyway, let's go ahead and get started with the base tour. So basically out the front here we have another connector here for my mining ship, and I basically just obviously fly this around the planet and do some mining. Obviously this is the main hangar door, but what I've done is I've actually put a door that goes underneath this large hangar door, and all these doors are activated by sensors, and then we come into the main hangar. Now this hangar is very similar to design to the hangar that I had in my asteroid base in another video, and we'll just go ahead and we'll have a look at, well, first what I'll do is I'll show you this thing. So if we go into here, I haven't actually finished this off yet, but basically what this area is, so this area runs all the way down here.
Health low.
Whoops. So let's go all the way down here. So basically I've made a tube that goes all the way here, and this connects up to a bunch of collectors, sorry. And what I do is, instead of having to dock the rover up to the port that's out the front, I basically pull the rover up. Then basically what I do is I set the connector on the bottom to eject all of the ores that I've collected into the bottom of this pit. So I'll actually show you the outside of that once we go back outside, but for the moment we'll just continue our tour inside, and I will try my best not to die or kill myself on the way back. So as you can imagine, in survival mode this took me quite a while to build, so yeah. Alright, so yeah, as I said before, the hangar is of a very similar design to one of my last bases, except it's quite a bit wider, and I've also changed the colours of the blocks, and I've changed the way that this works as well, this bottom part. But up here is very similar to my asteroid base. So the first thing we can see is 2 rooms on either side of this main hangar. Now this room here, sorry, I won't open the door, that'll open it automatically. So this particular room here is obviously my cargo, and what I've done here is I've basically tried to offset the rooms 1 block down, so that when you enter the room it makes it look a little bit better. And also what it allows you to do is get closer to the cargo containers and access them straight away without having to go up and down stairs. And then also what I've done is I've put in some lights behind the cargo containers to kind of give it a nice orange glow as you're walking across the catwalk. Alright, so let's go have a look at the other room on the other side. So this room is basically my production room. So this is where all my refineries are, and this is also where all my assemblers are. And this is probably one of the best rooms that I've ever made in this game. At least I think so. And again, I've done the same thing with the orange lights. That's kind of been my theme for this Mars base. And I think it looks pretty cool. This room just looks really, really industrial. I think it definitely gives off the industrial vibes. And then obviously on the roof, we have our air vents. And then if we climb all the way up these stairs, we have access to all the refineries, all the assemblers. And we can also access them on the ground, but if you need to, you can access them from the top as well. So let's exit this room and go through the rest of the base. Alright, so I'll just quickly show you these ships. So this ship here is basically a fighter that I designed. This is mainly built for Mars. This is also available on the workshop if you guys want to check it out. We won't spend too much time looking at that. And this was actually my original drop pod. So what I did is I basically turned this into I wouldn't say a heavy miner, I'd say more like a medium to, you know, short range miner. So yeah, what I'll do is I'll probably show you guys how to build something very similar to this. This is probably one of the best kind of mining ships you can start out with, and it certainly helped me in my survival save. So I'll probably show you this later in another video, and I'll show you guys how to build that from scratch. Right, so let's move on. So basically what I've done is I've done something a little bit different in this base. Rather than having rooms that come off the side of all these buildings, I've decided to make this bunker that goes all the way through the mountain until the other side. So I won't reveal what's on the other side just yet. That's a bit of a surprise, so you'll have to stay tuned for that one. Right, so if we enter this, we enter into an airlock section, and this port is actually big enough for my mining ship to get through, so I can take that through if I want to, although it is a very, very tight squeeze. And since we're on Mars, and voxels are not airtight, what I've had to do is kind of try and seal all these rooms up with blocks all the way around. But what I tried to do was something a little bit more interesting, and I wanted to leave a bit of the voxel exposed. So I've gone and dug this kind of channel here, and I've put some windows in it. And actually behind this window is a couple of orange lights that kind of give off this nice little glow. So it definitely gives off some Mars vibes, you know, I mean, since we are on Mars. And then I've tried to do kind of the same thing here, and I've tried to fit this theme throughout the whole building. Obviously, these ones here don't have lights on the other side, so there's not as much of an orange glow as there is through the rest of the base. And actually the sensors for these doors as well are actually under the floor here. So if I go ahead and grind this block down, you can see the sensor there. So I'll go and add this block back in. Alright, and as you can see, I've put nice labels on all of these rooms. And you guys might remember this room from one of my previous videos. This is all about the batteries and the power, or at least this was the room that I used in the screenshot anyway. So yeah, let's go and have a look at the med bay. So yeah, this is the med bay. So as you can see, I have 2 medical rooms. I've got a couple of science stations, some, I don't even know what they're called, some cryo chambers, and I've coloured these in orange. And what I've also done is I've put some lights across here so that it kind of gives a nice orange glow across the whole room. And I've tried to do the same thing throughout the entire base and make these windows where you can see the voxels and you can kind of see the walls. Kind of reminds us that we are underground. So I think that looks really cool. So we'll just have a look at the next room. So this is basically where we store all of our life support gear, aka our O2H2 generators. And then through this window here we can see the batteries in the other room. Again, we can see the wall. And then, yeah, again, on that side we can see the wall as well. So I've put a couple of oxygen tanks here, not too many. I've also put some oxygen tanks in the main hangar and in the secondary hangar as well. Now obviously this room isn't too big and I didn't really want to store any hydrogen here, so basically it's only used for the O2H2 generators. Alright, so let's keep moving on. And this cargo container is kind of a leftover from when I was building all of this, because I just found it easier to access stuff. Alright, so let's have a look at the mess hall. So obviously here we have our Clang Cola machine. And another Clang Cola machine. It's a bit strange how the screen's disappeared on that, but I'm not sure what that's about. And yeah, as you can see, I've tried to add some planter boxes in here. I've added some tables, some Clang Cola logos, some more logos, Martian coffee beans, definitely fitting for this planet. Tried to put some couches all the way along here, 2 communal kitchens, some more planters, and then obviously the same theme that we're going for in the rest of the base, with some view to the walls.
Energy low.
Yes, I know game. My energy is low. Alright, let's continue on. Let's make our way through the second airlock. And this airlock is basically exactly the same as the last airlock. And again, the sensors for these doors are under the floor here. Alright. So now we make our way into the main fuel storage room. Now, for the moment, I've only made the tanks 1 block high, but if I want to later, I can actually add some more fuel tanks in here. But I can't remember how many we've got in here. I think we have... yeah, so we have 28 hydrogen tanks. So yeah, that's quite a bit. If I doubled that, then yeah, I don't even think I would be able to fill them. So yeah, I basically just left it at that. Now this door is a little bit, or this wall here is a little bit different to other walls. This wall is actually 2 blocks thick, but it's only got 1 door here. So I'm just going to enter into the main hangar through this door, or the rear hangar through this door. Sorry. Alright, now we come into the second hangar at the back. Now this is where I store my welding ship. This again is also available on the workshop. And then this is my floor welding truck. So basically I use that to weld all of these floors up together, and then the massive kind of landing pads I have out there as well. So this room, I haven't quite finished it off yet. And in fact, this base is pretty far from being finished. Well, not very far, but yeah, still quite far. Need to do that. And obviously, as you can see, I need to put in the air vents for this room as well. So, this is where the Atlas lives. So this ship, I basically built a massive printer to build this. I do have some screenshots of it, but I didn't really have take any video of it in action, so it was pretty cool. Yeah, and as you can see, I have some kind of wheel blocks here, and I've got some decoys. Now this is basically to act as a lightning rod, because I found myself constantly being struck by lightning. So I have another one here. You can see that the entire place is just littered with these things, and I really recommend that you do the same. And then obviously, as you can see, there are another two here. Alright, and then we have the Pilgrim again. So you guys have seen that in one of my previous videos that I released not too long ago. And then if we have a look under here, this is where I've hidden
Energy critical.
all my power. So as you can see, I've tried to hide all of the wind generators or the wind turbines underneath this platform, so they're not so ugly, and yeah, try to hide them a bit. And those wind generators are plenty powerful enough to power everything in this base. What I'll do is I'll just quickly go and recharge my health. Alright, now let's move on a bit. So this is still a bit that's under construction. So what I'm trying to do here is create like a control tower, and I'm not 100% sure if I want to keep it this way or if I want to change it. It's been something that I've kind of been struggling with a bit, if I'm being honest. Well, as far as ideas go anyway. So yeah, there's that as well. And then as you can see, I've had to tunnel through this entire mountain. Basically what I did is I created some blueprints, and if we go into here, we have a look at our... So yeah, you can see here I've got some Mars dig guides, and basically what these do is these project empty blocks through the voxel, and you pull out your drill, and then you right click, and then you just continue following the middle of those unbuilt blocks, and then you end up with perfectly smooth walls like this. So yeah, that's basically how I done that. Right, I'll just quickly go out to the front, and we'll just check out the top of this building as well. So as you can see here, I've put on an antenna, and I've just mounted this to a hinge and then a rotor. And I've tried to make it point at kind of a 45-degree angle. How far away is that guy? Geez, that must be a big ship. And then, as you can see, I have another lightning tower out the front. And again, I have some half-finished wheels. And all I've done here is I've taken out the large steel tubes so that these blocks cannot be completed. So they end up being, you know, visually unfinished, but for the most part they have the majority of the blocks actually installed. So this means they'll actually be able to take a little bit of damage. Yeah, so that should work out pretty well. And it has worked out quite well as well. And then obviously out the front I've got some defense turrets. Not that really anything bothers me in this base, so yeah, I've never really had to use them, to be honest. Alright, and what I'll do is I'll actually go over and we'll take a look at the mining outpost that I've built as well. Alright, so we've reached the mining outpost, and yeah, it's a very simple structure. Basically all it is a mining rig, and this is all manually operated. None of it is automatic or based on timers. I basically got a line of drills here that spin around like that. And yeah, as you can see, what I originally targeted was this ice, but we've since run out of that. and now what I'm doing is I'm just mining the stone. So as you can see, this mining rig still has another full piston to go down, so I can still mine a lot of resources out of this mine. So it is totally over engineered. You don't really need to go to this extent, but yeah, I think it looks pretty good. And a lot of the time I will sacrifice time and resources to make something look pretty good. And as you can see, I have multiple decoy blocks here to attract the lightning and stop them striking everything in the base, because the last thing you want to happen is for it to strike one of these parts here and then the entire thing just falls apart. And also what I've done is I've gone ahead and I've put like kind of a counterweight on this side, and I find this definitely helps with keeping this drill rig stable. So yeah, I've done that. So if we just go have a look inside, this is a very simple setup. So we just got 2 or 3 large cargo containers, and I believe I have 2 refineries in here, 2 large grid refineries. So we just got those 2 large grid refineries, and I have a sole battery running this entire operation, this little champ here. Yeah, so that's all I really need, because if we have a look in the battery, obviously it's got full power. I never really pull enough power to fully drain that battery. Basically the refineries end up running out of material to refine, or the cargo containers get full well before this battery here ever gets near getting empty. So yeah, that one battery might not seem like a lot, but yeah, it's enough to run this entire thing. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And basically what I do with this base is I get my Nomad rover and I park the butt up against this, and I connect it here. I transport all the ores that I've collected out of here into the rover, and then basically I drive it all the way back. And I will show you one other thing that I've done here as well. So let's bring up our GPS, and let's turn all these on. Now, one of the problems I found when I was driving my rover across the terrain here on Mars, whenever a dust storm would come along, I couldn't see anything. So what I've done is I've made some GPS waypoints, and as you can see, I basically drive from point to point to point. So as you can see, this point is here and it dodges that rock, and then we move along to waypoint number 3, which is there, and then waypoint number 2, which ends up taking us here, and then we head on over the mountain. We go to ice mine waypoint 1, and then we just make a full beeline to the base. So basically then what we do is we drive the rover up to this. As you can see, I've got a decoy here as well, and I park the rover over the top of this, and I basically eject all the ores from the connector and then eject them into this pit. And then this pit will just enter, oh no, I can't use spectator mode because we're in survival. And yeah, basically there's a conveyor tube that runs all the way through the floor here, and then it connects back up to the base on the side there. Cool. So that's about everything on this base. It's very simple. Well, not very simple, but yeah. Alright. Well, thanks very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the tour of this base, and I will put this base onto the workshop so that you guys can download it and have a look around for yourself. And yeah, maybe you want to use it in your own save. But anyway, thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope to see you in the next video.